What is the meaning of this?
What's going on, you guys? It's Kojin here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the Sorcerer class in WonderKing. Really, this is probably my favorite DPM class. What DPM means is damage per minute. Usually this class does a really good job at sustaining high amount of damage per set amount of time while fighting bosses. It's not a huge burst class like, for example, Ninja, where it has a lot of damage up front. This class mostly has a lot of damage spread out through all of its skills, and you mostly just use all of your skills to maintain that high damage. It's really more about large AoE high damage skills that are a bit slower, but at the same time you can take advantage of that by doing so much damage. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the general skills. First things first, you want to go ahead and get the red and blue skills. These two skills give you 10% attack and +9 critical rate. Then after that, I would go for HP 2. This will give you 5% HP. Then I would go for mana points 2, which will give you mana. Then I would go for HP 1. Then I would go for MP 2. Pretty much, or I should say MP 1. So pretty much that's the whole goal here, is just as time goes forward, it's not something that you need to do immediately, but these two right here are definitely a top priority. Definitely go ahead and level those up if you possibly can. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into the skills. This is why people are here, so let's go ahead and let's do this thing. So first things first, I'm not going to go through all of the skills. I'm just going to talk about the two important skills to max. So really what you want to do is just put 5 out of 15 for your 1 second skill, and you want to do 5 out of 10 here, and then you want to max out this skill here. This skill is called Rapid Flash. The reason why you max this out is because it slows down enemies, and not only that, but it does 100% damage at max level, so that way that you can pretty much do the most max potential damage you possibly can. We got another skill here. This skill is pretty decent. It's a multi-hit skill, but it only has for 10%, so you don't want to upgrade it too much. The next skill you want to max out is Ice Missile. As you can see, that the cost for doing builds in a wizard build is quite expensive because they have a lot of first job skills. Main reason for this is because Cleric actually doesn't have but 3 extra skills that they learn offensively, so this is why they have so many skills starting off. But yeah, those pretty much are going to be the ones that you're going to max out. Now next up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about passive skills to use. First things first, we're going to talk about Massive Concentration, which is all the way over here on this side. This will give you 15% attack power, so you want to go ahead and max that out. Next up, you got Mental Training. Mental Training gives you 10% mana regeneration. This is huge. Definitely go ahead and max that out as well. Next up, we're going to talk about Magic Sense, which is this one here. Magic Sense, you probably have this at 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 early game. You might want to go reset this later. This just simply gives you more mana. I really don't want to talk too much about it, because really at the end of the day, it's real simple, and it's really just, if you need extra mana, just go ahead and add on to that. But you have 2 options to gain mana as a mage, so I definitely would look into that. Next up, let's go ahead and let's talk about first jobs real quick. All right, so first jobs is actually really interesting with this class because you get an extreme amount of passives. Almost all of these passives give you a damage gain. I think the very last one doesn't. That's the teleport, but we'll talk about that here just in a second. We're gonna go ahead and just start from the top here. First things first, we're gonna talk about Ice Needle. Ice Needle actually is a very good skill starting off. It's gonna be a very great mobbing skill. I definitely do recommend starting this off at 5 of 15, so that way that you can get access to the other skills that are below it first, and then come back and max it later. But really what my goal here is to get this to 5 to 15. Then you want to get the Volcano. I believe you have to get this to 10 to 15 to be able to get to the Thundershock, which I also heard that currently right now you can just totally skip Volcano and go for Thundershock straight up. So that's definitely going to be something that you might want to do straight up going forward. Then after that, what I would do is I would come to the Volcano, and I would probably end up maxing this last. This is something that I would just totally skip right now, simply because the damage isn't quite there early on, but as you start the boss, this skill becomes really consistent, so I definitely would hold on to this skill later on for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start with passives here. The thing about this class is that you get 3 magic mastery straight up first. So you get one that gives you 10% attack, the second one gives you 20%, the third one gives you 3%, so you get a total of 50% attack through 3 different separate passives. And then the last one, which is Magic Strike, this one gives you plus 300 critical damage on critical hits, which is additive, so that means that this is just to add on to your total crit damage number rather than it being multiplicative percentage add-on. Then we also have the teleportation. Now people ask me about this all the time, which one's better. In my opinion, the teleport is probably the best thing about Sorcerer in general, because when you're fighting bosses, you can actually weave the boss's attacks through using the teleportation, so it becomes super important later on. You'll be pretty much attacking, you'll get 2 or 3 attacks off, and then you'll need to weave. you can do this pretty much in an instant flash as soon as the boss attacks. And once you get really good at that, you will eventually find that this class is actually an exceptional bossing class. And that's usually what most people who do play Sorcerer later on end up doing. It'll probably be a really big thing in NA, considering the difficulty of bosses over there at the moment. So that's always a really good thing. But yeah, for the long story short, let's go ahead and let's just talk about priority. So you want to go Ice Needle 5 out of 10. I think in NA you can skip this. If not, you're going to have to do 10 out of 15. And then I will go max here. So I'd max out the Lightning Strike skill, come over to passives, work on passives for a while, max out all the passives, and then get teleportation to 1-8. And then I would work my way down from there. Definitely something that you want to do later on. All right, so then next up, we have got second jobs. So here in second jobs, this is probably my favorite job out of all the classes in this game. Definitely one of my favorites, simply because of the fact that you get access to a skill that does 9,000%, or excuse me, not 9,000, 8,000. 8,000% damage out of a skill that's really, really strong. It's a one-hit skill, but for bossing, this is actually a really great one. Mobbing, this one you're gonna have to also gauge your distance with, so it's a little bit more of a time patience thing. You're just gonna have to work on it just a little bit, but usually it's really simple and easy to use. If you aren't really good with this, I would just go with the 1 second skill, and then I would use that into Clashing Thunder. So we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the build for second job. All right, so first things first, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about Blizzard, which is your 1 second skill. Blizzard, I would definitely start this off at 10 to 15, so that way you can get access to the skills that are below it. Next up, I will go with Meteor. I think Meteor, you also have to put 10 out of 15 in to be able to reach the next skill. If not, I think it's 5 out of 15. It's one of the two. I'm not 100% sure at the moment, but I would use the minimum amount of skill points to get to the next skill pretty much. But Meteor is a low priority to max. Then I would go to Thunderstorm. Thunderstorm is high priority to max. This is a really good mobbing skill, and it does excellent damage to bosses as well. As you can see, at 6,000% damage at max potential, it is really good. And then last but not least is Psionic Eye. Psionic Eye is low priority. It's mostly a bossing skill simply because of how the cast time works. It has an incredibly long load up time, so it's not really great for mobbing. Really, your whole idea here with this specific setup here is to go with Blizzard into your Thundershock from your last job into Thunderstrike, so that way that you're pretty much just constantly doing really nice consistent damage, no matter whether you're at a distance or if you're short distance. It's really nice. So pretty much you're going to be an Ice Lightning mage up until final job for the most part. Meteor is good if you can manage to time Meteor properly. I would definitely use that, but for the most part, that's going to be your tech going forward while you're leveling. All right, let's talk about the passives. So next up, we've got Agnes's Swamp, which was the second one. The second one's first. Pretty much this skill, it slows down enemies, but it stops working after level 200, so you might not find much use in this skill after you hit level 184. So that is something that you might want to look out for. I just said in the build to put this at 1 to 10, because in case if it does stop working earlier than that, or if you find a map that doesn't work on it, then you just kind of, you know, have to figure that one out. But in general, either skip the skill or have it at 1 out of 10. But it's just something that's not functional right now. Even in KR, it's not functional, so I would just totally skip that. And then we've got Magic Runway, which is a buff also. This will buff your attack by 40%, so this is really nice. Definitely go ahead and pick that up. You're going to definitely need that before you start bursting. That's pretty much going to be your burst window, even though it's not really a burst window. It lasts 90 seconds, so it's kind of nice. All right, on to final jobs. This is where everybody who plays Sorcerer is looking to aim to, and I do not lie, this is one of those classes that are just so nice when they hit final job. It totally changes the way that it plays. You're not playing so strugglesome anymore. It's really nice. So let's talk about Shadow Beast. Shadow Beast is easily one of the best 1 second skills in the game. You've got to love the animation. You've got to love everything about it. Like, look at this. Who doesn't like this animation, man? This thing looks nice. Really nice AoE, and it's a real nice way to farm, man. It's something that if you're real interested in mages, you'll definitely like for sure. I definitely do like this one for sure. So that's a high priority. I definitely would max this out as soon as possible. It only does 110% damage, but it's not about the damage, it's about the AoE at this point. You've been struggling to get good AoE up until this point, and now that you finally have it, you want to make sure that you use it to your full potential. And then after that, I would go and I would max out Elemental Scholar or Elemental Master, and that gives you another 50% attack passively, so that way you don't have to do anything extra. This is not a buff, so you don't have to worry about putting this on your buff bar or anything like that. Next up, people are asking about the priority of how to level these skills. I would definitely level the right side first, considering once you hit level 200, your priorities are going to change mostly from mobbing to doing a lot more bossing. So the right side gives deals way more damage than the left side does, so I would definitely go right side first, getting Lightning Vortex and Elemental Burst first. These two skills are large AoE and do excellent amounts of damage, something that you want to definitely look out for. Then you want to go into Prominence, which is Fire Tornado, which is more of a mobbing skill, to be honest, because it doesn't really do a ton of damage, but it also does hit for like 30 times. So it's one of those skills that are just really super flashy, super awesome, and really nice. And then last but not least is Ice Collapse, which would pretty much be the last skill that you would get, and you would max that out also. So long story short, for people who are looking to skill build pre-level 200, we'll just go back through this real quick. Like I said, in the general skills, you want to go red and blue first, and then go for HP 2, and then after that you'll work from MP 2, then go HP 1 to MP 1 over time. Nothing too crazy there. Next up, for first jobs, we're gonna do 5 out of 10 or 5 out of 15 for your 1 second skill. Filter skill, max out 1 out of 15, 5, max, and then I would do 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 for early game here. Skill reset later. Let's go into first jobs. We would definitely 5 out of 15 this, 15 out of 15 that, or skip it. Volcano in general, you want to skip this early on. Then you want to go into Lightning Storm. Definitely want to do that. Huge mobbing damage. Before you do any of that, 1 second skill, 5 out of 15, passives first, then come back and max the skills. Same thing here, 5 out of 10, max out the passive Magic Runway, come back to this, unlock these skills, leave Psionic Eye alone until later. Final job, 1 second skill into your passive, into your right side skills. So you would go for Lightning Vortex and Elemental Burst, then come back to your left skills, Prominence and Ice Collapse. Alright, next up we're going to show you guys how to set up your bar. This class is really straightforward and simple. Due to it not having a burst window, you don't really have to worry too much about how exactly does it burst at in game. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start it off pretty simple. So we're going to go Elemental Burst, the Lightning Vortex, into Ice Collapse, into Prominence, into Psionic Eye, into Thunderstrike, into Meteor, into Thunder, and just for simplicity, we're going to put on our 1 second skill. And that's pretty much how you set up the class. I personally really enjoy this class in general. You get access to some really cool looking skills. I think that in general, this was definitely one of the more enthusiastic classes when it comes to the skill effects. And that's something that you would really definitely love to enjoy, man. This is something that is a once in a lifetime play. And I definitely do think that Warlock in the long run will definitely be a huge threat. But thank you guys for watching the guide. Hopefully it made sense for you guys. If not, I did make a little paper guide also that is going to be attached to this video. But anyways, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys around. Thank you. Bye.